In July, we'll have the opportunity to photograph Mercury at its greatest eastern elongation, which is one of the best moments to view and photograph the planet. The full moon, of course, the Milky Way and the Galactic Center, the Crescent Moon. Don't forget to photograph the moon when it's super thin. Nice. The Delta Aquariids meteor shower, which is visible from both hemispheres, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, and 4 conjunctions of the moon with the planets, with Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, and Mars. Also, as always, at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you 3 of the best photos that you guys have submitted to the PhotoPills Awards and that we featured in June. Let's go! Okay, let's open PhotoPills and let's go to the planner, because on July 4th, Mercury is gonna be at its greatest eastern elongation, which means that the planet will be further away from the Sun, giving us great conditions to view and photograph the planet from both hemispheres. Pretty cool. Mercury will shine in the early evening sky with a magnitude of 0.4, visible to the naked eye. So after sunset, you'll find it low in the sky next to the sunset direction, the thick orange line that you see here on the PhotoPills map. The full moon is on July the 10th, and as you know, we love photographing the full moon aligned with interesting subjects. Every month, a different story. So if you go to the PhotoPills planner based on the moonrise or moonset directions, plan your shot. For instance, I planned this amazing shot here in the island of Menorca. If on July 10th, 2025 at 9:36 p.m. I am at the red pin position here at Punta Prima, I'll be able to see and photograph the full moon rising behind the beautiful lighthouse of Ilha da Laira. By the way, the moon, you have the moon size in brackets on the top panel, is gonna be 16.6 meters, and you see the size of the moon also represented by this blue band you see on the map. So as you see, the moon will be pretty big, which is pretty cool. The moon height at the time of the shooting is 30 meters, which is more or less the height of the lighthouse. And let's check panel number 3 to check the natural light. The elevation of the sun is minus 4.66, which means that it is the beginning of the blue hour, so expect the moon to be beautifully, powerfully yellow. And by the way, you used to learn how to plan your moonshots. Watch this video. The new moon is on July 24th. And July is another fantastic month to photograph the Milky Way and the Galactic Center. In the northern hemisphere, I have the red pin in Spondangil in Menorca. It's a great moment to photograph diagonals of the Milky Way, and also when the Milky Way is completely vertical like this and aligned, for example, with this beautiful natural bridge that we have here in Menorca. By the way, the photo you've seen now was taken by Untitled Chapter, and as you see a Spondangil in Menorca aligned with this Milky Way, aligned with the Milky Way completely vertical. And at the back you have the light pollution of Mallorca, our neighbor island. Okay, this is for the northern hemisphere. If I go to the southern hemisphere, for example, to let's say the South Island here in New Zealand, you'll see what we got here. I have to just swipe time to see that I get the Milky Way completely vertical, like this, pretty cool. And then forming a nice panorama low in the sky, more in the west. Actually, I can tap on the night hour, and I forgot to show it to you before in Menorca. So this is the night hour, as you see. I can visualize, this is the crossing point from the with the horizon. This is the horizon, this is the Galactic Center, and as you see, the Milky Way is arching above the horizon. Hello! It's pretty cool, Galactic Center. I love Milky Way in the night in the southern hemisphere. That is the reason we do a lot of expeditions there to photograph it. Namibia, New Zealand. It's pretty cool. I love it. Okay, and let me show you the Milky Way in Spondangil. Let's go back to, Spain. And here we are. I'll swipe again to align with the natural arch. Pretty cool. And here I have the night hour. As you see, the Milky Way is completely vertical above my head. So Spondangil is gonna be there. Nice. Oh, by the way, you used to learn how to plan your Milky Way shots. Watch this video. 1 or 2 days before and after the new moon are great days to photograph the Crescent Moon, so when the moon is super thin, with a phase between 1 and 2%. Check this plan. For instance, if on July 25th, 2025. This is the day after the new moon at 7:11 a.m. I am at the red pin position here in Cala Plaisir, our beautiful beach that we go and photograph every year during the PhotoPills camp. I'll be able to see and photograph the Crescent Moon aligned with the Favarage lighthouse. The size of the moon, you have it in brackets, 10.6 meters, and also is represented by this blue band here on the map. And again, this is a very cool alignment, but it is a super thin moon. Check panel number 3, it's only 0.3%, which is super thin. Not sure it will be visible. And the sun elevation 5.68. This is before sunset. It's at the beginning of the golden hour in the afternoon. So the moon will start to catch up a bit of color. Nice. And if you should learn how to photograph the crescent moon, watch this video. The Delta Aquariids meteor shower is peaking on the night that goes from July the 30th to the 31st. And the good news is that this meteor shower is visible from both hemispheres. But the peak time and day depends on the location you are. For example, for the red pin position, I have it here in Binigaus in Menorca. According to the top panel, the Delta Aquariids peak is on July 31st at 3:48 a.m. and 14 meteors per hour are expected at the peak. Also, the phase of the moon that you have it on panel number 3, the moon is going to be only 36%, which means that, well, the moon is going to be thin, and furthermore, it's going to be below the horizon for most of the night. If you check the time bar, you see that the moon is below this horizon that you have in the middle of the time bar, and that the gray circle that represents the radiant goes higher in the sky as the moon goes deep and deeper under the horizon, which is what we want. And by the way, the radiant of the meteor shower is also represented on the map by this gray line that's moving when I change the time, so we know at all time where the radiant is. And if you don't know what's the radiant is the spot in the sky where meteors appear to originate. Some people like to frame away from the radiant to capture longer meteors. Other people like to frame to the radiant to get the radiant point in the frame. So it depends on your taste where to frame. In my opinion, I always recommend you to focus on creating a great composition, foreground, subject, and the sky. Leave as much sky as possible and pray to get a meteor in the frame at the right time, in the right position. Okay, you can also locate the radiant of the meteor shower by tapping on the night AR view, of course. And here I have the Polaris, I have the radiant of the Perseids, but let's see the radiant of the Alpha. Where are you? Here we have it, the Delta Aquariids radiant, over there. And if I change the time by swiping my finger on the screen, I know where the radiant is at all time. And also I know where the Milky Way is at all time, which is pretty cool. By the way, if you wish to learn how to plan your meteor shower shots, watch this video. In July, there are 4 cool moon planet conjunctions. On July 16th, Saturn will be pretty close to the moon, and the moon phase will be 67%. On July 21st, Venus will be in conjunction with the moon, and the moon phase will be only 11%. On July 23rd, Jupiter will be in conjunction with the moon, and the moon phase will be even thinner, 3.5%. And on July 28th, the moon will be in conjunction with Mars, and the moon phase will be 17%. On both hemispheres, you'll find the moon planet conjunctions where the moon is. And as you know, if you change the time in PhotoPills, the moon is represented by this thin blue line that's moving. So where the moon is gonna be, there you'll find the conjunctions too, the planets too. You can miss them. And now let's see some of the best photos that you guys have submitted to the PhotoPills Awards and that we featured in June. The first one is a fantastic shot of a magnificent full moon rising over the Istanbul skyline, seen from the Balat coast with Galata Tower in Istanbul, Turkey, a photo by Suhey Genaydin. The second one is a cool Star Toodles photo of approximately 2 hours over the geodetic vertex of Perniches, Guadalajara, Spain, taken by Andres. And the third one is a fantastic photo of a big sun setting behind a photogenic pine tree in the Serralada de Collserola in Catalonia, Spain, photo taken by Daniel Juan Salles. Fantastic guys, fantastic shots. Thanks for sharing. And now if you wish to learn how to plan and photograph each one of the events I've shared in this video, I invite you to download and study well our super detailed astronomical events photography guide. I'm gonna leave a link to the guide in the description of this video and in the first comment below. Download it. And as always, if you like this video, give me a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next Wednesday in another video. And remember that you have the power to imagine, plan, and shoot legendary photos. Bye!